Welcome back. It's Tim Harris, and this is, of course, my lovely wife, Julie Harris. And you are on the right podcast if you're looking for some direction. And I want to start out before we introduce you to today's topic, which is don't coast, crush it. Why fourth quarter will make or break your 2026. I do want to acknowledge all of the crazy news that we've been experiencing and the horribleness that happened with Charlie Kirk and a lot of the other things that have happened. It does seem like we're all being tested right now. And I want to start out by just reminding all of you that your role in your life is as a leader. And whether that's a leader of, real estate folks, if you're running, say, for example, a real estate team or a brokerage or even your own family, your mission is to basically lead other people when other people are needing to be, frankly, have some direction. They're looking for leaders. And that's what happens in times like this. And it's interesting because from a business perspective, if you arise as a person that others can count on during times of stress, you will find yourself becoming somebody that other people want to be around because they'll see you for what you truly are, which is a leader. And if you don't feel like that, if you're one of the people that are essentially feeling, angry or sad or confused or whatever, you're going to love today's show because it's going to give you a real sense of direction. Because the bottom line is that, we've all, if you've been on this planet for more than a couple of years, you've experienced a lot of ups and downs, a lot of hardships in the news, a lot of scary things, a lot of wonderful things, all the things, right? And the one thing that's consistent during all those troubled times and all those wonderful times are that folks need a caring, competent real estate professional, someone to help them through the storm clouds that are often associated with a real estate transaction. So even though we all are feeling a little or a lot sad right now, I'll strongly encourage you as a leader, which is what you should see yourself as, not to stay too long in that state of, commiseration, I guess, because your world, your family, your community, your team, everyone around you needs to see that you are someone who, is pushing forward despite what's going on. And once you develop that skill set, you'll find that you'll attract more people to you. Did I encapsulate that well, Julie, before we get to our first point?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's okay to feel sad and angry and confused and mad and all of those things. I think that we all had a week of that. But it's also what you said, Tim. It's your job to be a leader and to show up. And, that is what Charlie Kirk would have wanted you to do. He was a great example of that. So you can lead with that. Staying home and being glued to the TV or just being, not in action is not going to help you. It's not going to help your family. It's not going to help your prospects. Your life is going on. Your family's life is going on. People are looking for leadership. It is your job to show up. So that's why we decided, normally this is Fun Friday. I think that would be kind of hard to create after this week, but today we decided, you and I, to make this about taking action and helping them set a plan to put one foot in front of the next and to be that leader in your business, in your lives, and to give you, we only have, I think there's 7 points today, but each and every one of them is designed to get you into action and to remind you of what to do. And again, it's okay to be sad and mad and confused and angry and all of those things, but use that. I find, don't you, Tim, when you have that welling up of emotion, that if you can refocus that towards your work, that there is also something healing about that.
Well, I was on a coaching call yesterday with somebody, and she was going through a lot of personal stress and strain, and she was telling me about it. And I was listening, offering help where I could. And so I said, okay, let's stop talking about the hard stuff and let's start talking about the easy stuff. And we started talking about making money. And as soon as we shifted to start talking about a real estate business, talking about getting her listing sold, talking about, how great her fourth quarter is going to be and how much it's going to build momentum into 2026, she immediately felt in control. And I could tell by just listening to her voice. So along those lines, here's the reason that we decided to construct this show for you guys today is because this is the most critical time of year. And I know it sounds like, oh, you say that all the time. Actually, we don't. We say it always in fourth quarter, which we're not quite there yet, but we're starting a little early this year. Why does fourth quarter matter so much? Because any top producing agent will tell you that your new year starts right now, October 1st, effectively. Trust me when I tell you, the future version of you in January will have wished they not only listened to this show, but actually took action on these points. Your new year has already started. The big mistake that most people make, not just real estate agents, is they coast and they screw up their fourth quarter. And basically they roll into the new year and then they try to essentially build momentum at the same time that they're essentially, you know, competing in essence, especially in real estate sales, with all the other people that are trying to rebuild their businesses for the new year as well. So if you want to jump on next year, you got to start now. And let's not delay anymore, Julie. Let's roll in.
Well,
By the way,
that
if you
is
want,
actually our first point.
oh, great. Well, so let me talk to him about the notes, right? So if you want to get the notes for today's show, and there's, these are great notes, do make sure you subscribe to our newsletter, which is harrisrealestatedaily.com. It is our daily newsletter. That's the only place our show notes live. We also include a lot of very, proprietary and exclusive information just for our show listeners and show viewers. So just go to harrisrealestatedaily.com and definitely subscribe to the newsletter. Julie Harris, sorry for stepping on your first point.
Okay.
Point number one is don't check out in Q4.
That's right. This is not the time to let off the gas. Ignore the calendar, ignore the weather, ignore excuses. I know traditionally many of us in real estate have decided that fourth quarter is like we've given it all we've got for the year and let's just take off the gas. But this year is very different. You should always have this philosophy. That's why if you go to past years' podcasts, you'll see that we do typically talk to you about making fourth quarter essentially your ramp up to next year. What you do now largely determines how next year will be. So treat today as your fiscal new year and make 2026 a 15-month year. Decide that that's how it's going to be, that this will be your best quarter ever, not the coasting quarter, but your best quarter ever. And if that means, I know a lot of my coaching clients, they've just declared that quarter will be the best Christmas ever for them and their teammates. And they've set some goals around that, which brings us to point number two. Go ahead.
So you're kind of combining points, right? So the mindset is, what will it take for you to have your best holiday season, Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever, ever, right? What will it take for you to have your best holiday season ever? What is it going to take money-wise for you to feel financially secure and for you to spoil your family, your loved ones, make donations, have some meaningful time off so you don't necessarily have to stress during the holidays, right? So what should you be doing now to do that? But
that's point number two. I have that exact bullet point.
All right. Well, to Julie, you could tell we've presented this information before, probably. But to the grander point, though, that we're dealing with here is that the goal here is to build momentum into next year. And building momentum means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So I'll define it for you. It means leads. It means signed listing contracts. It means actual people that are ready to buy, purchase homes as soon as you find them something that's suitable. You have business rolling into the new year. You have pendings rolling into the new year. So even if you don't make the fourth quarter your best year ever in terms of sales, revenue, and income, it doesn't matter. The business will carry into next year. And the magic that you hopefully, advanced player mode, you guys are all hopefully tuning into what I'm saying. When you have a great first quarter, you're going to have a fantastic year. If you have a crappy first quarter, you're going to spend all of first quarter and then second quarter trying to get some momentum. You'll have a good third quarter and then you'll have a crappy fourth quarter. And then you basically make money for consistent, decent money for 3 months of the year. Don't do it that way. You've got to start earlier, Julie. Sorry if I stepped in your point. Point number two, create your fourth quarter plan.
That's right. It's not enough to just have these thoughts and say that was a fun podcast. I feel motivated for 30 seconds. Actually put together a fourth quarter plan. I have 3 bullet points for that. First one is calculate how much you have to earn to cover both your personal and business expenses. Get very clear on that. That's what you have to do no matter what. And if your spouse is contributing, factor that in, but you've got to at least start with that. Second bullet point is add the amount you need for your best quarter ever to our first point, right? Including that dream trip or a holiday, best holiday for your family. And then divide that number by your average net commission, and you'll know exactly how many transactions you need before year's end. And Tim, I know you're thinking about magic number of listings and things like that, and that's an upcoming point because that plays into this. But point number 2 is really have a plan. Don't just say, I need to earn more, I need to do better, I need to stay motivated. Those things are all true, but you also have to figure out baseline first, what do you have to earn? And then think bigger for fourth quarter. What's it going to take for it to be the best one ever? And, remember that a goal is a dream with an action plan. If you don't have specifics behind it, you're very unlikely to execute on that. Does that make sense, Tim?
It does. And I wasn't going to step on your points, so don't worry. I've read ahead now, so I won't make that mistake twice. All right. So, and I also want to remind all of you guys, if you want to carry the momentum that you're feeling now from today's show, why don't you join us on the mastermind? We're going to keep on doing these masterminds as long as you guys keep showing up. So just go to harrismastermind.com. The link is down below. And when you go to harrismastermind.com, you're going to land on this page. Just pick your day and time of mastermind. We've already committed to another 3. So go ahead and choose your day and time of a mastermind. And it's about a 2-hour long event. And we're going to share with you how to overcome the 3 biggest challenges agents are having right now. And yes, the first challenge is going to be lead generation. So make sure you go to harrismastermind.com and register for an upcoming webinar, or just click the link down below. Julie Harris?
Okay, so just to hover for a second on point number 2. Let's
Yes,
say
ma'am.
that maybe you're an agent that needs typically 2 transactions to close per month to meet or exceed your monthly overhead, to save a little bit, to pay your taxes, all of that. And maybe you've got most of that pending or in your pipeline. In order for you to make it your best fourth quarter ever, probably if that's your situation, you only need 1 more deal per month. And that's where coaching comes in. We're going to ask, where have your deals come from this year? How can we 10x that? How can we ensure that you're going to create that 1 or 2 more transactions per month for the rest of the year? The point is that when you define it, you can do it. If you walk around with nebulous thoughts, you'll take nebulous action. Instead, you say, you know what? I can already identify the 5 or 6 deals that I need to close between now and the end of the year. I'm in good shape. Most of our coaching clients are having a really killer year already. But what we're saying is, instead of coasting the rest of the year, we do want you to have, great holiday parties and time with your family and travel and all the things. Okay. But instead of waiting until first quarter to get ready to get started, to then put the train back on the tracks, we're saying, let's shoot for the stars fourth quarter. That way you're going to have a great first quarter, to Tim's point. So that's, and we do a lot more in coaching than that.
Let's give them some advanced coaching here. Okay. So one of the things that we have all of our coaching clients do, and I just scanned your notes. Hopefully I'm not stepping on your notes, Julie, is grab an actual calendar. Am I stepping in notes? No. Okay,
No,
grab an actual calendar for October, November, December. And I want you on your calendar to mark the days that you're going to be working and not working. Literally, physically have a calendar up on the wall, not hidden in your computer. And then on the days you're going to be working, do a dollar sign. And the days you're in green, and and on the days you're not going to be working, you can put I don't even know what, maybe a smiley face. I was going to say smiley face, right? And then I want you to go and mark the calendar, starting at the end of the year and working all the way back to October 1st. And be realistic. You got to understand that you might be working around Christmas, for example, but no one's going to want to be doing business with you. So you got to give yourself defined work days and defined not work days. Otherwise, what's going to happen if this time of year, and trust me when I tell you this is true, you've got to give yourself some mental, emotional break. We have all been, truthfully, for the last 3 years, going through a real emotional roller coaster. And we are 100% beyond a shadow of a doubt confident that 2026 really right now is the beginning stages of an absolutely booming housing market. Trump is going to announce the new Save America housing plan, or whatever he's going to call it, declare a national housing emergency, whatever it ends up coming out as. And in that plan and we did a show on it, yesterday, last 3 days actually, that's talking about what we expect to have happen. And if you're not excited and motivated about the new year for real estate, and yes, Tim and Julie, you say that fourth quarter every year. Well, we do say that fourth quarter every year because we're naturally optimists, but never before have we been able to say it with such, certainty, because of the fact we frankly have an administration that's massively pro-housing. And
Yes.
you can already you can follow the breadcrumbs to see the new programs that are going to be coming out. Listen to the show from the last 3 days. So what I'm asking you to do is create a calendar, November, December, January. No, October, November, December. Okay. And then mark the days you're going to be working, not mark the days you're not going to be working, and be realistic about your non-working days. So you're probably not working the last week in December. Maybe it's the last 2 weeks in December. You're not working the last week in November. You're probably not working a lot in the last week of October. You guys get my point? And then, are you doing open houses? Do you work on Sunday? Maybe you don't work on Sunday. Well, mark the days you're working and not working. And then on the days you're going to be working, what you want to do is you want to write down the minimum standards that you have that we talk a lot about in Premier Coaching. So minimum standard, for example, would be a certain number of contacts you're going to make every single day. So if you do your real estate treasure map, which is the first thing we teach you in Premier Coaching, and you discover you need, say, for example, 10 listings at all times, the bottom line is make 10 contacts with decision-making adults about primarily selling real estate every single day. And I don't know why it works this way, but psychologically, you're naturally going to program your mind to start thinking in terms of 10 listings at all times, 10 contacts a day, and then you're going to start finding listing opportunities everywhere. But by the way, listing opportunities are not scarce. They're constantly surrounding you all the time. You're just not literally tuning your mental and emotional frequency to go and find them. I know I'm meandering a bit, but here's the bottom line. Do not check out. But on the days that you are checked out per your calendar over the next, over fourth quarter, do check out. Spend time with your family, refill your cup, spend time with your religion, spend time, doing community services. Don't try to be somebody that thinks that they're going to, you won't have an advantage overall by burning the candle from both ends. It might seem like you will, but you won't, because you will find yourself being resentful of the work because you're going to see everyone else isn't working, and that's going to cause the work to become more onerous and you're going to become less effective. So, like for example, you go on a vacation for a week, you come back from the vacation, you ever notice that you have not just more energy and enthusiasm, but a lot more focus, you're a lot more creative. Some of you experience that just taking a day off. So take this seriously, because it is a nice time of year to be essentially allowing new software to load into your brain. Julie?
Yeah, that's right. So the point of doing the calendar exercise is to remind yourself when it is a work day and you've got that dollar sign on that square of your calendar, take it seriously. Do the work on the work day. So when you're on, be really efficient. And by the same token, when it's a smiley face day and you're going to go to your kid's Christmas program, don't be checking your phone and trying to do real estate in between seeing your kids' stuff. That's where the stress comes in real estate, is when you're allegedly taking a day off, but you're getting sucked back into it. And then you're all, to your point, you get resentful and start doing kind of a crappy job on both your transactions and what you were supposed to be enjoying. So on smiley days, give it all you've got on that channel. On the dollar productive days, be super efficient. Don't try and multitask. Do the top 3 most important things that are dollar productive. So when you're on, be on. And when you're supposed to be taking a day off, take that seriously as well. And it is something we work with with our coaching clients.
And that's coming from 2 people who've been married for 34 years, who trust me when I tell you, Julie and I have a very hard time spinning down. We are obsessed with our businesses. We're obsessed with our goals. True. And so we totally get it. And a lot of you listening right now are saying, oh no, I'm going to push through and I'm going to da-da-da-da. But listen to your wise old friend and, current or future real estate coach. The reality of it is I personally feel 1,000% more powerful when I heed my own advice. And I have been. Julie and I have been heeding this advice for probably the last 10 years. And when we re-engage, we're so much more creative. Hell, I'll tell you what, Harris Mastermind, ethical real estate professional, all of those things came from Julie and I taking a month off in when we went to Europe, Julie. What 2 years ago?
Last summer.
Last summer.
For that, yeah.
But
that's where those thoughts started, and our minds were free to be more creative and to work on those things. And then when we got back, we had an amazing trip, and we're ready to lock in.
That's right. All right, let's go to the next point.
Okay.
Lock in, lady.
Number 3, you touched on this a bit. Stay ahead of the changes. We just gave you a 3-part podcast on what's happening in real estate. From lower interest rates to new mortgage products, even new cities are being built. Some of you, they're being built right outside of where you sell real estate. So don't just read about or listen to the podcast. Make sure you're participating personally in those changes. And one of the ways you can stay up to speed, of course, is to keep listening to this podcast. So you touched on most of that. So I'm going to go to point number 4. Make more contact fourth quarter, not less. The tendency is to make less. Commit to speaking, for example, to 100% of your database. These are your past clients, your center of influence, your professional center of influence. Talk to all of them before Thanksgiving. And you've got lots of talking points and you've got lots of scripts in Premier Coaching. For example, ask who they know who needs help buying or selling, of course. Offer a current market valuation for what their home is worth right now. Share how low interest rates have dropped. Some of the people in your database right now still think that rates are over 7% because they haven't checked lately.
But Julie,
they figured, I'm going to wait.
Hover there. I mean, that's a really great, simple, obvious point. Is why don't you call all of your
6.27 today, guys?
Yeah, 6.27, and rates are going to continue to fall. So why don't you call all of your closest in centers of influence? You have a list of 250. There's probably 25 in there that are truly the most, reliable centers of influence. Why don't you call all of them and let them know about the interest rates? As far as what to do around the holidays, mail them a card, mail them a picture of your family. Do something. Don't just sit on your hands and sit on your butt and expect the folks to then want to list with you in the spring. When they go to a holiday party and they run into the new agent who just got their license, and even though
He's
you've
all
done
enthusiastic and talking nonstop about real estate.
they're going to list with that agent because they didn't hear from you. Trust me, that's how it happened. And trust me, I'm telling you something that happened to Julie and I, and we lost four
That's how we
lists.
know.
That's how we know. So the wise man learns from his mistake. A brilliant man learns from the mistakes of others. Learn from us. So don't rest on your laurels. Do not assume any of the business is yours. You always have to earn it. Julie, next point.
Well, that's right. And remember to say the yes, play the yes game. When somebody invites you to their holiday party, show up. Even if you're only 50% enthusiastic about it, you need to be making more contact, not less. Okay. Speaking of which, point number 5, you could not escape a podcast about staying frosty and lead generation without hearing the word expired, can you? Okay. So target expired listings. Identify at least 20 expired listings today and contact them immediately. Handwritten card, phone call, text, pop by, door knock. Decide you will contact your favorite 20 expireds. These are frustrated sellers who still need to sell. Anybody who's going to put their house back on the market fourth quarter is serious and has to sell it. Lots of them maybe started overpriced or aspirationally priced, but the ones that have to sell, they will reprice it. They will fix the negative feedback. We've done entire podcasts on this. We talk about it all the time in Premier and Elite coaching. You have scripts to deal with all of these things. Some of those expireds also will be buyers for you. Some of them are investors where they've got 3 or 4 other properties that they can sell. So target those expireds.
And remember,
And so
this is perhaps the best opportunity for expired listings than we've seen in probably the last 5 or 6 years. Why? Because listings don't expire because they're bad listings. They may have been positioned incorrectly in the market, but we have an interesting little confluence of opportunities they're creating. More opportunities with expired listings. Interest rates are falling. That's going to that's going to result in increased buyer demand. So maybe that expired listing was overpriced, but as there's an increase in demand because of the lowering of the interest rates, that previously overpriced expired is now going to be priced right, if not priced a little low for the new market that we're going to be experiencing in the spring. Expand your thinking. By the way, that's the first thing we talk about in the Harris Mastermind. So go to harrismastermind.com or click the link below. Julie, let's go on to our next point. It is point number 6.
Yes. And this is a kind of personal bugaboo of mine, so I may do a tiny rant here. Number 6, re-qualify your buyers. What do we mean by this? Look closely at every buyer in your pipeline. A lot of you have what you are calling tons of buyers. That's why you stopped doing sign calls and bothering to call people back, because you're already up to your eyeballs in buyers. Well, reevaluate their motivation, their time frame, and their qualifications. They might be super motivated and try and see houses all the time with you, but do they have the ability to buy? Are they pre-approved pending only identification of the house? Have they shown you proof of funds? The ones that have, who are communicative, who do have their financing in line and are only not in contract because you haven't found them something, that should go to the top of your to-do list right now. And I know a lot of those buyers, some of those buyers are the ones that are your listings. So maybe you need to price reduce your listings. Maybe you need to, in some markets, we are seeing contingent on home sale flying.
Again, we talk a lot about that at harrismastermind.com. So make sure you go there. And as far as the buyers go, also, the buyers might be able to qualify for more house than they were able to afford before because of the falling interest rates.
That's right.
So it's a good opportunity to refresh, or if you're working with buyers where you've not actually had them speak with your lender, it's maybe pertinent that you essentially readdress, oh, I'm working with 10 buyers and they're all great buyers, but have they actually spoken to a lender? Are they truly approved? You know, have you actually taken them through, the lender actually taken them through a 3-merge credit report, verifications of income, all the things? Probably not, right?
That are required to actually buy.
Right.
And the ones that have, why aren't they in contract right now? Are you waiting for them to send you a listing? That's not the plan. Anyway,
right, so
I could go on. Go ahead.
The last point is know your magic number. And the magic number is what I touched on earlier, which is the number of listings you need at all times, to meet or exceed your financial expectations. And I'm going to I'll explain this succinctly. If you're in a marketplace where your average commission is, let's say $10,000, which is probably most of you, and your average days on the market is, say, less than 90, but let's say 60 to 90 days. On average, if you had 5 listings at all times, it's safe to say that at least 2 of those listings would be in contract at all times, which means you'd always have $20,000 pending. You follow me on that? So if your personal overhead your personal and business overhead is say $10,000 or whatever, and you're always having $20,000 pending because you always have 5 listings, which is your magic number of listings, you essentially are going to have very consistent income. And notice I said listings, I didn't say buyers. So if you didn't want to work buyers anymore, if you're burned out on buyers, or maybe you want to start being super selective on the buyers you work with, I just gave you the formula to get out of, buyer jail, is focus on becoming a powerful listing agent. The expired listing opportunity is universally true, but some of you are going to be better wired just to focus on your centers of influence and past clients. Some of you are going to be focused on, notice to default in some markets, very few, but some. How about probate listings? In Premier Coaching, we teach you literally dozens of different ways to generate your own listing leads for free. We're not advocates of buying buyer leads because frankly, when you're a listing agent and you have listings, you essentially are going to be overwhelmed with buyer opportunities. Tune your brain to where the bigger opportunity is because of this new market. In the interim and the change period that we're going to be experiencing probably for all 2026, it's definitely going to be with expireds. So absolutely positively join us for harrismastermind.com. Julie, you have a final thought?
Okay, so related to that, what I'm doing with my personal elite one-on-one coaching clients, and I think you're doing some of this too, whatever their magic number is, because all of them know what it is, 100% of them do, we're increasing it by 20% going into fourth quarter. We're overproducing by at least 20 to 25%. Why? Because naturally that time of year, some sellers will lose their will to sell. They'll go on vacation. They'll take a break. They're going to call you and say, put it on pause. They'll decide to refinance. That happens the most in fourth quarter of any other quarter. So, and you know what? If we're wrong and none of that happens, you got 20% more to make your fourth quarter the best quarter ever. Exactly. And I hope that we are wrong about that. But that's how I coach them to make sure that we're overdoing it by a little bit. We're also analyzing every single listing that hasn't sold in the time that it should have sold and looking, looking at price again. So I hope that you guys take all of these points seriously. This is to keep you in action fourth quarter, and still remember the calendar exercise. We do still want you to have a live fourth quarter. Some of you are doing a killer job. I had several calls this week about past client appreciation holiday stuff. That's a great way to make multiple contacts on one day. And you do still have time to plan that. That's a hot topic in Premier Coaching with our daily semi-private calls with our coaches. A lot of the clients are taking, what is their idea? What are they doing? Are they doing a holiday photo booth? Are they doing a pie giveaway? Are they doing, I know John Walkinshaw in Canada does an amazing job at a Christmas tree farm. There's many different things that you can do. So if you need help with that, if that's something that you've always wanted to do but aren't sure where to get started, take that to your Premier Coaching session and ask our coaches, because all of them have done it. We've got tons and tons of coaching on that. So while you have a runway to plan it, that's a great thing to be doing.
And remember, so if you don't necessarily want to overtly lead from the front, to go back to circle, close the loop on today's show, lead by example. And that's the easiest thing for you to do when you follow these points. Lead by the fact that you're optimistic. You're understanding and appreciating what essentially right now is happening, but at the same time, you're optimistic and you're excited about what's going to come into the future. And you're going to take the actions to make it so that your tomorrow is 10x better than your today. And that starts now. Because if you coast for the rest of the year, if you basically doom scroll, if you allow your brain to start following all this, frankly, very interesting new information about aliens and UAFs, or what are they called? UAPs, whatever. Yeah. I mean, all that stuff, you will easily lose massive amounts of your life. And then that'll have been time you could have been using to help other people and to build momentum into the new year. Remember, your highest and truest plan on this purpose is to be of service to other people. Julie and I have dedicated our professional lives to being service to all of you. You maybe need to commit to dedicating your professional life and what your highest and truest purpose on this planet is as a real estate professional to your buyers and your sellers. That's a shift in mindset. It makes it so that you operate at a higher level, but it also makes it sure so you're more in alignment with your soul, which is of being of service to other people. Thank you for keeping this the number one listened to daily podcast for real estate professionals in the United States. We have been for years and years and years. We have thousands and thousands of past podcasts. If you're on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, make sure you give us a 5-star review. If you're on YouTube, as we've got like 100 and closing in on 150,000 subscribers, do subscribe. Do give us some comments. If you have any questions, we always go to Instagram and read the comments on YouTube. We look for inspiration for future show ideas ideas, anything like that.
And share it with your friends. You guys
Yep.
are all friends with lots of different agents and brokers. Go ahead and share it. We'd love
That goes back to the whole leadership thing. Be somebody that shares today's podcast with everybody in your real estate sphere so that they too can, be pulling themselves up opposed to allowing themselves to be pulled down, which is a normal type of thing this year. Have a fantastic day. We'll talk with you on the show anytime if you want to listen to replays. Otherwise, we'll talk to you on the show in a live show on Monday. Hello, thank you for having watched this video. Please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
That's right. And don't forget to hit that like button, leave your comments and questions below, and we will get right back with you.
Thank you for watching this video. And remember to watch the next one. You're going to love that one.